Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of JPNN. We've got a bunch of news for you here on this Wednesday. Blizzard is in the news, and it's not for sexual harassment. Let's go ahead and get started here on this Wednesday with JPNN. Is this a first that they're not in the news for sexual harassment? I mean, I didn't read the full story. To be fair, they might be. You never know. I mean, we'll get to it first. We'll get to it first. Let's see how it goes. Quantic Lab, which was the outsourced QA team. I'm doing the streamer pose. Renee was right. The outsourced QA team behind the Cyberpunk 2077 news from Monday. They responded to claims that it misled CD Projekt Red. Oh, nice rhyming. Over the experience of its team working on the game. The CEO, Stefan Sekarescu, I think he might be related to Lady Dimitrescu. That's a bad joke. Said that the company, quote, always strives to work with transparency and integrity with our industry partners. The video published on social media, as mentioned in your article, starts with incorrect statements about Quantic Lab's history. There seems to be a lack of understanding in the process of how a game is tested before its release to the market. He goes on to say Quantic Labs currently employs over 400 employees across 3 offices in Romania, and that it has over 60 active clients. He also stated that, quote, all of our customers' agreements are confidential, but in general, global publishers are working with several QA outsourcing companies, not depending solely on one, in addition to internal QA resources at developer levels in most cases. Oh, he's saying like when it comes to big publishers, they have yeah, sure. When they were approached for comment on the upper echelon gamers report on Monday, a CD Projekt Red spokesperson told Video Games Chronicle the company does not comment on rumors. Great. Okay. Glad we got all that cleared up. Kinda. Not really, but sure. DFC Intelligence, a leading provider of industry analysis and market forecasting for the video game sector, released information from the 2022, I don't know why I said that was so weird, market forecast, saying that it expects the PC and console software market to post a record year in 2022, driven by growth in subscription services. Really? I figured it would be down. For this year, the market analysis firm expects software on console and PC to be up $72 billion, which is 5% from last year's mark, which was already a record. They go on to say, quote, a major driver of this growth is not new releases, but increasing usage of subscription services from Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, and others. The console game business is expected to see a third of software/service revenue going to Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo for their game subscription services, Game Pass, Switch Online, and the newly revamped PlayStation Plus. Yeah, all those things are here to stay, so buckle up because that's where we're headed. That's the future of the industry. Subscription services. Get excited. Get your wallets. Get your credit cards. It's happening. The future of Sony Electronics, however, is a little bit different. They launched a brand new gaming gear brand called Inzone. That's Inzone. And it's aimed at PC gamers. The new brand was announced on Tuesday with 2 27-inch monitors and 3 variations of gaming headphones. Inzone had been in the works since 2019 before the pandemic, as Sony executives observed growth in the video game and esports industries. Kazuo Ki, let's go with that. The Sony president of home entertainment and sound products stated, quote, we are entering the gaming gear industry with monitor and headsets at an exciting time. Since gaming and esports have gotten even more popular over the last few years, we are leveraging Sony's high-quality display and audio technologies to deliver products that will allow gamers to immerse themselves in their gaming world. Great. In case it weren't already clear, Kazuo also came out and said that Inzone stands for in the zone. Thanks, Kazuo. Sony plans to win players over through competitively priced products. Currently, they're planning to sell a $899, that's USD, 4K resolution monitor. It's an IPS monitor, not an OLED before you get super hyped. It's 144 hertz refresh rate. It'll be available this summer. And there's also going to be a $529 USD 1080p monitor with a 240 hertz refresh rate coming later this year. There were a bunch of reviews already out. If you're at all curious about the specs of these devices, I highly recommend going and checking those out. It seems like a pretty okay entry into the monitor world, but it's nothing that I'm going to get excited about. You know what I'm saying? Give me those fucking OLEDs. Sony, what are you doing here? Get on the OLED level. Matt Booty's on the OLED level. That's a weird thing. He held a Q&A during a company-wide meeting last week, during which he addressed the topics of labor conditions at Bethesda and its parent company, ZeniMax Media. Booty was asked to discuss a previous Kotaku report, which claimed there was a heavy degree of crunch during the making of Fallout 76, which was released a number of years before Xbox acquired Bethesda in 2021, to which Booty clapped back. The challenge with a lot of these articles is that they look backwards, sometimes pretty far back in time, Booty said during the meeting. Verified by Kotaku, who viewed a recorded video of the meeting. Wow, they're straight up recording this shit. Crunch culture is, if you go back 10 years ago, it's a little unfair to put that on one studio, said Booty. It was just a part of the industry. I don't say that to justify it. I'm saying that it was part of the culture of the industry. I literally slept under my desk early in my career, and we looked at that like a badge of honor. Booty said that the working conditions detailed in the report were in the past. He goes on to say, quote, I know from talking to Bethesda leadership that we do not have a situation where people are crunching, and we've got this bullying atmosphere. I'm confident about this. What? Is that a misquote? What does he mean we've got this bullying atmosphere? Hold on. Yervin, what? Fix that quote. That's not the real. What the fuck is that quote? We've got this bullying atmosphere. That's not. No. No. That's not it. That's not it. That's not. Get the fucking real quote. We'll move on. You fix the quote. CBC reported that changes to Quebec's language laws that were adopted last month have game developers in the province worried about the impact on the local scene. The legislation, Bill 96, will make French the province's sole official language, instituting a number of changes that could make the province a less desirable destination for development talent. One of the requirements of Bill 96 is that the immigrants to Quebec who don't speak French will only be able to access most government services in their first language for 6 months. After that, they must access service in French. Services in English will be restricted to those who attended English schools in Quebec or elsewhere in Canada. Weird. Veteran Montreal game developer Osama Dorius told the CBC that Bill 96 will hinder studios in the province already having troubles in a hyper-competitive global market for development talent. He put out a quote and said, quote, now those job seekers are just looking elsewhere, and I don't blame them. It's going to be very hard for us to compete on a global level. Dorius said he warns developers against moving to Montreal if they don't speak French because he knows they won't be welcome. A reversal of the years he spent advocating for people to move there. The local industry trade group, oh boy, here goes my French. 0 years of French in high school, by the way, 7 years of Spanish. Still can't speak it. The Guilde du Jeu Video du Quebec shared concerns with the bill. That's awful. I think I just had a stroke. With chairman of the board, Christopher Chansey, telling the CBC, quote, we have a lot of people coming from everywhere around the world to make video games here in Quebec. Our fear is that this is sending a message that Quebec is not inclusive to other cultures. Yeah, I read the beginning of that story and I thought it was fine. The fact that after 6 months, everything changes to, French, that kind of sucks. I can see why that, is a big deal. Why we include it in the news. Good job, Yervin. According to a report by Hardware Lux, that's probably French, Valve has made a spec change to the Steam Deck's SSD specs on May 28th that has largely flown under the radar. The change allows the use of 2 drive configurations instead of just one, cutting the potential SSD bandwidth in half for some models. As a result, the PCIe Gen 3 NVMe drive built into the higher-end models, for any non-tech people, that's literally just the specs of the SSD, the hard drive that the Steam Deck is using, will now come with access to either 4 PCI lanes or 2 PCI lanes. You want 4 in most cases there, but you got to be careful that the bandwidth, the power that each lane can kind of limit or produce, doesn't get cut in half with more lanes. So you got to be careful. However, customers won't know which drives they'll receive, with the company noting that, quote, some 256 gigabyte and 512 gigabyte models will ship with a PCIe Gen 3 X2 SSD. That's slower, I think. Valve says that it tested the change and will not affect gaming performance. Okay. I mean, if they tested it, then I guess you got to take them, take that for what it's worth. Maybe they're right. Who could say? I'm sure those tests will come out, though, and be all over the internet to prove them wrong. That's the day and age we live in. Moving forward today, this is an interesting story. Today it was revealed that game studio Fantastic's upcoming MMO survival title, The Day Before, is being developed in part with unpaid staffers. As reported by Well Played, the game studio's website says that it's based on, quote, the idea of volunteering. The company calls employees volunteers and recognizes them as either full-time or part-time. Full-time volunteers work for salaries and their number is limited, Fantastic said. Anyone can be part-time to contribute to Fantastic community and get cool reward. What? And get cool rewards, participation certificates, and free codes? The developer goes on to say that part-time duties include work such as translation and community mod. They don't pay their. They're Twitch streamers. They don't pay their mods. Okay. An Fantastic representative said, quote, during the short history of our company, there have been many people who have approached us and wanted to help in different ways. It doesn't relate to code writing or development itself, though, but other important things such as moderation, localization, or simply rooting for us and cheering us up. For those curious, if you've never heard of The Day Before or Fantastic, it's currently Steam's most wish-listed game and was announced back in 2021. It's an open-world MMO aiming to mix survival gameplay with in-depth combat, vehicle gameplay, and even social elements, and it's also being developed using UE5. Let's see how that works out for him. I'm sure there's not going to be any stories or, exposés in about 2 years or whenever that game ships about any of that whatsoever. No, not a chance in hell. Hey, here's that Blizzard stuff that we were talking about. Following yesterday's announcement of Spellbreak shutting down its servers, today, Blizzard Entertainment announced that it has acquired Spellbreak maker Proletariat to bolster its staff on its massively multiplayer online role-playing game World of Warcraft. Really? Under the deal, Boston-based Proletariat will become part of Blizzard, and its team of 100 people will begin working on World of Warcraft, including the Dragonflight expansion coming later this year. The move is the biggest acquisition that Blizzard has made to expand its studios. In this case, the mission is to beef up the staffing for World of Warcraft so that it can hit quality and timing goals for its expansions. Terms of this transactions were not disclosed. 1 second. I have to cough. Meta is facing a growing backlash for the charges imposed of apps created for its virtual reality headsets, as developers complain about the commercial terms set around for futuristic devices that the company hopes will create a multi-billion-dollar consumer market. Sorry, that was anytime you say the metaverse, there has to be a fart. Several developers told the Financial Times of their frustrations that Meta, which is seen which is seen as having an early lead in the nascent market, has insisted on a charging model for its VR app store similar to what exists today on smartphones. This is exactly what Apple was doing, by the way, my editor is noting out, which of course led to the Epic versus Apple lawsuit battle. This is all despite Meta chief Mark Zuckerberg being strongly critical in the past of charging policies on existing mobile app stores. Quote, don't confuse marketing with reality. It's good marketing to pick on Apple, but it doesn't mean Meta won't do the, said Seth Siegel, global head of AI and cybersecurity at Infosys Consulting. There is no impetus for them to be better. True. I mean, that's a good statement. It's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. Yeah. A Nintendo shareholder reportedly asked Nintendo to release a new FZero game during its annual general meeting on Tuesday. During the Q&A portion of the meeting, one shareholder asked if the company had any plans for new titles or remakes related to past IPs. Then they specifically mentioned games by naming they'd like to see, including FZero, Baton Kaitos, Wario Land, The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls, I love that Metallica album, Trade and Battle Card Hero, and Chosoju Mecha MG. Of course. Nintendo's general manager of EPD, Shinya Takahashi, is said to have replied, which is translated by VideoGamesChronicle.com, quote, regarding remakes of older titles, we are thinking about a wide range of interesting ways to try new and old things. We received a similar question before. At that time, we happened to have a remake planned, so we discussed it. But there are things I cannot say right now. It's not a remake, but here's some footage of titles for the latter half of this year. Takahashi added before rolling a video of upcoming games, including Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Splatoon 3. A lot of threes. Nintendo can count to 3. Valve's still trying to figure that out. Fans have been negatively reacting. I know, imagine fans being negative about something. To the removal of Miss Pacman from the upcoming remake. Oh, this story. From the upcoming remake of Pac-Man World following yesterday's Pac-Man World remake trailer reveal. The substitution is a result of Bandai Namco's attempt to keep Miss Pac-Man out of its games until it resolves an ongoing dispute over rights to the character's royalties. Miss Pac-Man has always had issues regarding royalties. You're going to get me canceled for saying that. The character isn't an official Namco creation and was instead created by Midway, who had been given the rights to produce Pac-Man products in North America, and a group of U.S. programmers at the General Computer Corporation, GCC. Really? That's awesome. That's a great name. As a result, anytime Miss Pac-Man has appeared in Bandai Namco products, GCC is reportedly owed royalties. The situation got more complicated in 2019 when Act Games, a company that specializes mini retro consoles and handhelds, released a Miss Pac-Man mini arcade cabinet despite Bandai Namco claiming it never gave permission to do so. Bandai Namco sued Act Games, who 1 week later did a deal with GCC to acquire the Miss Pac-Man royalties. Really? Interest allegedly owed to it. Since then, Bandai Namco has seemingly made efforts to ensure that Miss Pac-Man does not appear in any of its games, as to avoid further complicating the royalties dispute. Interesting. Niantic, the Pokemon Go developers, is giving the NBA the Pokemon Go treatment as it heads to the streets with NBA All World. In the free-to-play game, players will be able to collect star NBA players, buff, and customize them with items picked up from visits to real-world locations, and take on other players in one-on-one matches at their neighborhood courts and other locations. Huh. This is where the NBA's gaming and lifestyle meets real-world metaverse. Marcus Matthews, the game senior's producer, told media in an online briefing Monday. We're developing the world around you into a basketball universe, or what I like to call turning the real world into a basketball theme park. The game will use a database of, quote, hundreds of thousands of real-life courts and other basketball playing locations. Players will also find stops at sporting goods stores or convenience stores, Matthews said. I bet this gets added to everything. It's rather smart. It's rather smart. And maybe it's cool. You know, I haven't seen the game, but it sounds like it'd be kind of a fun thing. Square Enix had a quick announcement via the official website that Nier Automata has sold 6.5 million units. It's likely to sell more once that launches on Switch. You can watch yesterday's JPNN of the Nintendo Direct to find out more about that game coming to Switch. There's the new Star Ocean, which is entitled Star Ocean 6, The Divine Force, got announced this morning with a launch date. Actually, it was already announced, but the launch date got announced. It's coming out for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, and it'll hit in October 27th, to be exact. October's looking kind of stacked with stuff, but we only do one JRPG a year. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, looking like it's going to be that. Maybe we'll at least look at that, see if it's any good. We got a bunch of review scores here, as it's middle of the week, and a lot of these games come out today or tomorrow. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak has a ton of reviews out. VG247 gives it a 5 out of 5. The Mako Reactor gives it a 10. RPG Site a 9. The Sixth Access a 9. Game Informer a 7.75. And Old IGN a 7. I read a handful of reviews, by the way. Apparently, it takes a while to get to the meat of that expansion and see any of the new stuff. It's a little slow at the start. We'll have to see. I'm going to be checking the game out, and I'll figure it out myself and let you guys know. And also, for what it's worth, the Open Critic of that game is currently sitting in an 88 with 15 critics at time of recording. Outriders World Slayer, another game that came out this week, is the DLC to the, I would say, semi-popular Outriders game that came out last year-ish. Also had a bunch of issues at launch. IGN gives that a 7 out of 10 as well. WCCF Tech, a 7.5. PC Gamer, a 63 out of 100. And Eurogamer Italy, an 8 out of 10. It did have a lot of server issues in terms of, I think, stability yesterday, but I think most of that has gotten smoothed out. And from most of the reviews that I read, it's just more Outriders. That's what I said on Monday, I believe, too. DNF Duel, the latest big fighting game, has a handful of reviews out as well. Hardcore Gamer, a 4 out of 5. IGN, 8 out of 10. PlayStation Universe, an 8 out of 10. BG247, 4 out of 5. Currently sitting in a 79 right now on Open Critic and a 81 on Metacritic. I was watching Maximilian Dude play that. He seemed to say it was fine. Justin Wong, popular fighting game player as well, was playing that. Kind of a legend, really, I should say, to give that moniker to him. He said it was fine as well. As for, like, you know, is it very good for super bad players like this guy right here? Yes, but also no. Apparently the combos are pretty difficult in that game, but the actual specials are, the execution are like one button presses. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to check it out. Let me know in the comments if you have. We've, you know, we'll see. We've got a fighting game community here. See what happens. The new Xbox Live games for gold for July are Beast of Maravilla, Relicta, Thrillville, Off to the Rails, and Torchlight. Really? Those are all at different months of the game. Make sure to go check Xbox Games with Gold website to find out exactly when those are coming out. The PlayStation Plus Essential games for July are exactly what were leaked. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, Man of Medan, and Arcadegeddon. Arcadegeddon? It's so simple. I'm an idiot. Hey, remember that Fallout TV series that's coming out? I didn't remember it, but yeah, you've heard about this before, I'm sure. It's over at Amazon's. They've added Kyle MacLachlan, Zelia Mendez-Jones, and Aaron Moten to its cast as series regulars. The trio joined previously announced cast members Ella Purnell and Walton Goggins. He's got a weird name, I'm sorry. And the series version of the popular video game franchise. As with past casting announcements, exact details on who the new additions will be playing has been kept under wraps. And he's not going to play I couldn't even name a popular Fallout guy. One of them, Walter Goggins, is going to play the Vault. You heard it here first. Big scoop for JPNN. Goggins, he's the Vault. He's the Vault guy. I think we have one rumor here for you at the end of the show. A release date and pre-order incentives for Ubisoft's pirate game Skull and Bones have seemingly leaked. A website, which I'm not going to try and pronounce because my editor is an Agornamenti Lumia. You know, just rolls right off the tongue right there. They regularly report on listings that are added to Xbox and Windows stores before they're made public, have also claimed that the long-delayed game will finally be released on November 8th of this year. Will it come out? Will that be announced? I don't know. We'll have to see. Make sure you tune into more JPNN episodes in the coming days and weeks, and we'll make sure to let you know everything that we find out on our side of things. Also, we're happy to announce that hopefully later today here on YouTube and over at itmeJP/TikTok, there should be a short version, hopefully under a minute, of all of the headlines for today and yesterday as it comes to the news. We'll see how that goes. Maybe you guys will like that more than this longer, long form version of the news. Let me know in the comments what you think. Both will exist. This one's not going away. You don't have to worry about it. That is that. Thank you so much for watching JPNN today. We are out of here. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on Friday to wrap up the week with whatever's going on in the world of video games. We're out of here.